Welcome back to AM Northwest. Our first guest says the way we navigate grief and loss is outdated, but she only discovered that after she experienced the unexpected death of a loved one. Here to share a new path for grief and loss, we welcome the author of It's Okay That You're Not Okay, psychotherapist Megan Devine. Good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
So talk to me about when your partner died. You had been together for how many years?
5 years.
5 years. And when he died, why did things change for you? Because you were a grief counselor, I understand.
I was a psychotherapist, so I was in private practice, and I certainly saw quite a bit of grief in my practice. But when Matt died, it's like this entire other world opened up. And the support that I received both from professionals and from well-meaning friends and family was so far off of the reality that I was living. It was really stunning.
Like, what stood out to you? What was the first thing you remember someone saying to you, and as they're trying to help you?
Yeah, so my first experience with this was actually at the riverside, because Matt drowned. We had gone out for just a quick swim, which didn't turn into just a quick swim.
Yeah.
And at the riverside, we had been waiting for about 2 hours while search and rescue looked for him in the water. And the lead warden came out and stood next to me and said, "I'm sorry, but he's dead." And within about a minute, this very, very sweet crisis worker came over and started handing me information and saying, "Now that you're a widow, you'll need this and this and this, and you need to make," right?
Wow.
And I'm standing there like,
wow,
I don't even know what just happened.
Right.
And you're talking to me about the widowed resources that I need. Fortunately, I had a great friend who was also a therapist at the riverside with me, and I just looked at her and I said, "Please remove this person."
Yeah.
And that was really the first start of it. You know, people were telling me within an hour of his death about the great and glorious future that I was going to have later, and that I wouldn't always feel so bad, and that he would want me to be happy. It just happened.
Yeah.
It just happened, and that is not the time to be talking about some
There are so many things that people say that they should not say, and let's talk about them. One is, everything happens for a reason.
I hate that phrase.
I hate that one too.
I hate that phrase. What reason could there possibly be for burying your 3-year-old child?
Right.
What reason could there possibly be for a perfectly healthy, happy, normal 35-year-old woman to get stage 4 cancer, or find out that she has stage 4 cancer at a normal checkup? Like, there's no reason for that.
At least you had them for as long as you did.
So that makes up for not ever having them again.
Right. You say that sometimes words of comfort feel really bad, and there's a second half of a sentence that the people who are grieving fill in.
Yeah, it's that ghost sentence, right? And that's what we just talked about with those, at least they're in a better place, or at least you had them for as long as you did. The second half of that sentence is, so don't feel the way that you feel. So stop feeling so sad. So stop being so destroyed by this. And even though you don't say those words out loud, they're there and they matter.
They do. And what about the idea of saying the word death versus loss?
That's a really tricky one. So I tend to go with death, died, those sorts of words, because there's no ambiguity in there. A lot of people...
Because it seems, don't mean to interrupt you, but it seems like when that officer came over and told you he died, that hit you hard.
Yeah.
But it wasn't ambiguous. It wasn't like, oh, well, we lost him, or, you know.
In that context, if they had said we lost him, I would think that he was still somewhere in the water. Right?
But even in just a general context, that you lost him, it's like, no.
No, if I lost him, I could find him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so we've got such a weird relationship with death, especially those more sort of out of order or atypical or out of the natural rhythm of things. We put all of these words around to try to make it gentle. But there's no gentleness there. Right? This is just the reality. Like, somebody died, there's death, death happens. Especially when we're talking to younger kids, if you say things like went to sleep or got lost, that lays down a really strange pattern in their minds that, like, if they have to go to the dentist and the dentist says, we're just gonna have you go to sleep for a little bit, that means something entirely different. One thing I will say is that I tend to follow the grieving person's lead. If they're talking about their partner who passed away, I'm going to use the words passed away, because it's not my job to correct their vocabulary. When I'm talking about grief or when I'm talking about death, I'm going to use death, dead, died, because I feel like it's important to use those words.
And because it exemplifies the pain you're in.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You say some people feel like there's a certain amount of time that you grieve. How long you grieve, though, is how long you grieve.
Yeah. There's no time that that person comes back. There is no part of your life that missing them doesn't touch. So there's no time that grief ends. We've got this idea that you've got 6 months, maybe 18 months, and then you should be back to normal. And that's just wrong. It does a disservice to the grieving person who knows that they're going to be carrying this loss, this grief, for as long as they love the person who's gone. And it does a disservice to the people who are trying to help. Because if we've got this idea that you should be back to normal in 18 months, then we stop trying to be supportive, we stop trying to help, and we actually fail the people we care about when we don't mean to do that at all.
What should we do for someone whose wife or husband or father or mother died?
I think the first thing to remember, it's sort of the Rosetta Stone. If you remember this one thing, you're going to be fine. Don't try to fix what can't be fixed. So much of what we say is our own helplessness, looking at somebody who's in pain and thinking, oh my gosh, I have to make this pain better for you.
Right.
I think on some level we know that we can't do that, but our brains tell us we're supposed to fix it, so that dissonance makes us do really weird things. So if you just remember that your job is not to erase somebody's pain, but to companion them inside it, you'll do fine. So things like doing something tangible instead of saying, call me if you need anything. Well, your grieving person's not going to call you.
Right.
They don't have the energy or the capacity to do that. But if you know that the recycling truck comes at 7 o'clock on Thursday morning, come over on Wednesday night and bring the recycling out to the curb. Those sorts of tangible actions are how you show your love for somebody without trying to fix the reality of their pain.
Can you say something, I am so sorry for the pain you're in?
Of course. Of course. I mean, we're mammals.
Right.
We resonate with each other's pain just the same way that we resonate with each other's joy or happiness.
Sure.
So of course we want to say something. And you can say, I have no idea what to say here, and I know that I can't fix this, and I'm here and I love you, and I'm so sorry this is happening.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful sentiments. Those are gorgeous things to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The book again is titled It's Okay That You're Not Okay, Megan Devine. Thank you so much.
You
That
are
was
so
excellent.
welcome.